Hello and welcome. My name is Angelo and I'm a professional musical director and musician around the UK. So I have with me today the Yamaha P-525, still on back order for most places from the UK and not arriving until the 24th of November. So very lucky to have made my purchase early and it already arrived. I'm going to be comparing this keyboard just for a few minutes against this Roland one, and I'll tell you why in a moment. I'm then going to be doing a quick sound check of how the keys sound with no noise coming out the piano, just to see how loud it is, because I know that was important for some of my other viewers in a previous video. And then finally, I'm going to go through the sounds one all the way through to the end. There aren't many sounds, so it could be a fairly brief video. And then I'll give informed kind of professional views as we go along, as and when they come up. So without further ado, let's just talk about the best piano sound in the Yamaha. It was very easy for me to find what I wanted. I pressed sound boost on. I then put the EQ from flat to bright, and I stayed with their recommended initial piano sound that you get, the CFX Grand. I remember when I bought the Roland Phantom years ago, well not years ago, but about a year ago, it took me ages. I went through tens and tens of pianos and then did all the EQ and all this kind of stuff and was like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I like it still. This one literally out of the box, and I was like, yeah, it's brilliant. And I do also own the quite advanced Clavinova in the 900 series, so this has got quite a lot to live up to. And my wife also owns quite a professional grand piano, also made by Yamaha. So really quite an informed decision, I hope, when I'm talking to you about this. And I've also probably played over about 100, 200 stage pianos, as is the nature of my job. Okay, so let's have a listen to this one. And this is the CFX Grand, with sound boost on and EQ on bright, and it's my favourite sound that I've been able to get through this. I've only had it 3 days and I've only gigged with it once so far, but it's been lovely. So as you can tell, I was just trying to cover all bases with demonstrating a low end of the piano up to the high part of the piano. Next, what I'd like to do is just do a quick comparison of these two. So my favourite sounds from the two pianos. I appreciate this is a Roland Phantom 8, which is quite a top level. It's their flagship arranger keyboard. However, it does have the same keybed and actually the same sound that I'm going to play as the Roland FP-90, which is going to be a direct comparison to the Yamaha, because they are direct competitors, those two pianos. So I'm assuming if you're viewing to see what this is like, you could also be considering to buy the Roland Phantom. It's also, if you're not and you just want to know about the Yamaha, let's see if it's better, because this is a brand new action. This is the S version of the Grand Touch, so it should be better than Roland and more realistic. Let's see if it can do it. Okay, for this one, I'm going to leave the microphone on so I can jump back and talk to it, so you may hear a little bit of key noise as well. But that's not always a bad thing. So here is the Yamaha. And then to the Roland. The Roland really does have a fantastic touch. I think it would come down to preference, actually, playing them side by side. Do bear in mind also I'm used to playing the Roland. This is my main arranging keyboard, so I would be a bit more familiar with the keybed, but I didn't actually notice that much of a difference at all, considering what an amazing spec this has got. One thing I did notice is that the pedal that comes with the Roland you can do half pedalling on, which may be very interesting to know for a concert pianist or very high level kind of pianist. I mean, that's lovely. It's the first Yamaha they've had where it will give you in the box a pedal which has a half pedal ability, which is really lovely. Let's just take a moment to have a listen to the difference in sounds. So this is my favourite sound from here, my favourite sound from here, in a little bit more lounge jazz kind of style, so you can see which kind of sound you may prefer. Obviously it's subjective, but I've spent quite some time getting the sound right that I like on this, so hopefully it's interesting for you to listen to the differences between the two brands. Okay, we then have three things left to cover. I want to talk about the speed of ability on these keyboards. I also want to talk about how much noise they produce from the keybeds, and then the sound test for the Yamaha. So let's have a go at the speed. Remember, I'm used to this one. However, obviously I do play a lot of other pianos all the time, so fingers crossed that won't make a difference. So let's see how fast we can get really with the Yamaha. I'll also try some movement, if I feel confident, from chord position to chord position. I have to be quite careful what I put on the internet, because obviously I work as a professional, so I don't really want anything going out there that maybe I needed to have practiced before I play it. I think it's very, very likely that you can play fast on the Yamaha. Very, very likely. I'm just going to take an extra moment, maybe just 10, 20 seconds, to just double check that. But the Yamaha is a bonkers fast escapement and keyboard. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, Yamaha wins quite convincingly. Take my professional judgment on that, not what you heard. Obviously, my playing, I'm still very not used to this piano doing the fast stuff, so I could have done it better, basically. But I can tell. If I practice on this for a couple of hours, doing certain fast runs and things like Hannons, I'm going to get really, really good at that very quickly, and this I could do concertos on, for sure. So this one takes the win for the keybed. Okay, let's have a go at the key noise. Now, when I do the key noise, the pianos will sound very slightly because of the nature of what I've got them going into. But I will do my best that it's mainly key noise you hear, and then I'll basically tell you what happens. Okay, let's try this now. So we'll do Yamaha first, and then the Roland, just so you've got a comparison to the Yamaha of something else that's of a similar, a similar piano kind of style that people might want to have a direct comparison to. Okay, so the Roland's a bit further away, but it's really not going to make too much of a difference here. Okay, so it's pretty obvious. I know it took me a while to work out how to turn the sound off fully, but the Roland is much softer. There's much more dampening as you depress the keys. The sound's really barely audible. The only thing you find is that despite obviously this being like a metal frame and everything like that, the bar at the front of the Roland, as is typical of a lot of Rolands, vibrates. So you kind of nullify the amazing thing that their keys are very soft because you've got this piece of metal vibrating. Whereas the Yamaha, despite it being less good build quality, they've put a lot of effort into a nice sturdy front here. Totally no vibrations at all. And when I play the keys, they are louder, for sure, they're louder. But generally, I actually feel like the piano is producing less noise. So, yeah, well, you can make your own choices on that one. But for me, the Roland is significantly better for softer key noise. And then obviously, if you can hold that vibration in, then, you know, that would be great. You have a much quieter piano. The Yamaha is loud. Okay, let's get to the sound test. Oh, exciting. Okay, so I won't do too much talking during the sound test because I just want you to basically hear them. But I'll just kind of lay out the name of everything that I'm playing and we can go from there and you see what you think. I'm trying to avoid anything copyright, so I'm just going to improvise and make stuff up as we go. The EQ is going to go back to flat sounding so that it's a fair test. And the sound boost will stay on because I'd normally play with that. So I think that's fine if we do that. So here is the CFX Grand. We then have the Bosendorf. Might have gone a bit contemporary in the middle there. There were some quite colourful chords. Okay, next, the Studio Grand. And then we come to the Bright Grand. Now, interestingly, the Bright Grand is less bright than the Studio Grand. I found that out on a gig yesterday. Okay, then we have the Ballad Grand. Okay, that could be used for jazz as well. That is quite warm sounding grand. Then we have a warm grand. Irony. Okay, next we have the pop grand. This should be really bright. And then we have the jazz grand. There's a lot of colour in that. Like if you play soft, you're very quiet, and then you can get stabs quite easily by just giving it some. Which is kind of cool. Okay. Next one. The rock grand. Because the keyboard's quite a lot lighter than the Roland, you really notice that when you're doing these fast passages, the Roland gives you resistance against it, so you can really dig in and push. I play the keys quite strongly, but when you're using this, you actually have to learn to ease off a bit and maybe be a bit more delicate. So there's something to consider. Basically, I'm saying actually it's a bit harder to play fast on this if you're used to a heavy keyboard action. That's basically what I'm saying. Next, we've got dance grand. That's like Tiny Dancer. That's a really bright sound. Not sure if I like that. Interesting. Old school piano forte. Okay, let's give it a go. There's a little bit of lo-fi stuff going on with that one. And finally, they've got a honky-tonk piano. It's kind of fun. It's actually very polite sounding honky tonk. They don't normally sound that nice, but I think what they've done is made it polite for listeners. Okay, on we go. Right, so I'm going to leave the microphone on for doing these ones because we're not so worried about that kind of getting in the way of hearing the different sounds. So first we've got the stage E piano. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Oh, wow, yeah, that's a quick keyboard. That is a quick keyboard. Just going to turn it up very slightly. I'll be using that on jazz gigs for sure. Just leave me here and I'll just play away. That's so good. That's actually, that's a lot of competition. Roland are the industry standard for those kind of Rhodes sounds for sure. No one's going to disagree, apart from if you've got Rhodes. But that Yamaha sound is up there. It's really phenomenal. DXE piano. That's a perfect DXE piano. Yeah, perfect. Okay, vintage EP. I'm not sure what's going to come out with this one. Oh, that's good. That sounds like a bit from Mario. I'm not going to play it. Or you get the idea what I'm hinting at. Okay, next. Auto Pan EP. This is going to go woo woo woo. It's that not moving from side to side nearly as much as I thought it would, actually. Maybe a bit for gospel musicians here. Gospel musicians. Soft EP. It's very light keyboard. I don't think you get very fatigued on this, to be fair. You would on this if you're not used to it, but it's actually kind of weird for me having to hold back. I'm playing some of the notes, they aren't really coming out as much. Phaser EP. That's lovely. Dyno EP. Yeah, nice. DX Bright. That's probably one of the best DX Brights I've ever heard in my life. Tremolo Vintage. That's nice, very nice. Then that's the end of those. Then we've got just a few organs here. So organ 1. You can't change the sound by touch. They've done it real, so you plug in an auxiliary pedal and do it as a swell, which I don't have, so everything will be mono, like flat line sound. That's kind of fun. Next one, you got Jazz Organ 2. I feel like it's great at the top and great at the bottom. There's just too much going on in the middle. Rock organ. I actually don't like it. If you play staccato or fast, it's not finished. It's sound by the time you've cut it off. Vintage organ. got a little bit of Mario about it as well. Again, not keen. The Roland's really outstripping the Yamaha on the quality of the organ sounds here. Organ principle. I know it's realistic that you play the organ and it goes one sound, right? I work as an organist. I trained in Canterbury Cathedral in the UK, so quite highly trained actually. But it's lovely on pianos, stage pianos, where you play soft and it does it soft for you and get louder and changes the quality of the sound. Yamaha have basically plonked one sound per note, and you can't change the feel of it at all. Now, I know you can't really change the feel of it at all on an organ, but it's kind of sweet to have that on a stage piano, like many brands do. Personal preference. Organ tutti. This should be grand and big. It's not nearly as impressive as I thought it would be. I thought there would be way more of it. I thought they'd use more pipes. They've had like a lot more out, a lot more stops out. They played it safe, and it's very nice. It's lovely, but I wouldn't mind having a bit more of it. Okay, now harpsichords and clavinovas and vibraphone, they've literally just put 4 things. So you've only got a harpsichord, which is 1 tier, 1 manual. That's a really, 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 really good harpsichord sound. And I've played a lot of real harpsichords. You've even got the jack, the bit that jumps up to hit the string. That's why piano's in the percussion family, because it hits, and harpsichord's actually in the string family, because it plucks on the string. That's a really, really good harpsichord. Lovely. I could use that with an orchestra. And here's a double manual. Oh my goodness. Right, okay, so you are witness to how crazy that is with the black keys being so much lighter and being very plasticky feeling. I got totally messed up there. Wouldn't happen actually on cheaper pianos. Okay, yeah, so that's something to note. Also with harpsichords, as it jumps up, you hear an additional sound. So your accuracy has to be 100%. You can't get away with anything. That makes it more apparent that an individual would need to warm up to this specific piano and how it behaves. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's more unique than others. So you'd have to warm up to it and get it sorted. Okay, E clavichord. I have no comment on that. Not pleasant. Vibraphone. It's okay. Right, on to the strings. Again, not many of these either. So strings. Not amazing string sounds. Slow strings. So that's a bit new for Yamaha. Normally, slow strings, they just come in slowly. This is kind of nothing, fast crescendo up and then a big swell and down. It makes them quite difficult to be a usable option. Choir. Yeah, okay, nice. Slow choir. The deliberate out of tuneness of the slow choir will make that really difficult to use. As I'm changing notes, there's a bit of like weird tuning, and then it's going into the right pitch. This one's called Dark Pad. There's a long delay on that. Again, maybe makes it potentially tricky to use with paired with other things. Light pad. Like that, immediately. Very, very nice. Just going to play about with this reverb button, see if I can sort that out. So what about if I put reverb off? Oh, that's a great reverb button. So it does nothing. Okay, then we have bell pad. It's quite a very harsh sound at the beginning of it. Normally they're a little bit softer. And then we've just got a handful of other bits. So you got the acoustic bass. Lovely. I play the acoustic bass, that's quite nice, that one. Electric bass, this often for Yamaha is really loud compared to all their other sounds. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it is. I'm not deliberately pushing hard. They always do it. They could have done more with that because I use the Yamaha PSR series. Their basses are incredible in that. They could have just, stuck one of those in. Bass and civil. Okay, and the fretless bass. I feel like the piano may need an update for that one. The variation of how hard you're pushing relates much less to that individual sound than it does for the others. So I'm assuming there'll be an update for that. Nylon guitar. Their nylon guitars are often incredible. So let's see what happens. Pretty good. And then steel guitar. Don't like that at all. Sounds like some medieval instrument. They'd have messed that one up. Okay, cool. So that's all the sounds. So I kind of started complaining about the sounds a lot, but you're paying a lot of money for this instrument. So I expected them to be as good as like my £1,000 PSR. Also my Yamaha DGX 670 I've got. The guitar sounds in that outstrip this crazy. They outstrip the bass sound. So what I'm getting at is that I think they should have put more sounds. But I'm thinking, why did they not take the phenomenal sounds from some of their cheaper instruments and just put that in instead? What they've done is, so for example, on those instruments, as you get let off from the individual instruments. They move like those instruments as well. However, with this, they've put basically the flat sound and not made it realistic. Which is kind of my little gripe. Now, actually, Roland do that a lot, to be fair, which is why I like Yamaha for their sounds. But in this case, they are phenomenal, I'd say, for the piano and the electric piano. Some of the organs are usable, but a little bit tricky. I love it when you can play softer and it goes with you. It's just so easy for a pianist integrating into doing that. And their clavinovas are very disappointed they didn't have like that good kind of Stevie Wonder clavinova in there, as they often do. If they've only going to pick two, they really should have gone for that in one of them. Okay, then you get some other options. So you've got dual split, dual and split, and then you've got the other bits there. So let's turn the sound, the EQ, back to bright. We'll make sure the sound boost is still engaged, and we're just going to have a quick go with the dual split. So immediately I can see they have done this so much better because you've only got a little screen to work with. So normally it's a lot of buttons. They have made the navigation for their dual split so much easier than some other brands. So CFX and strings. Yeah, the strings kind of come out quite harsh initially. I wonder what slow strings. Yeah, very nice. That's okay. Right, cool. And then they've also got this dual option. So you click it once, and it gives you the option for the first instrument and the second instrument. And you can cycle left and right to move those easily. Very nice. You then click it twice, and it gives you a right instrument and a left instrument. So obviously it's naturally set to a piano and a bass. Yeah, again, it feels a bit weird with the plasticky keys here and the white ones there. It's put me off a little bit. Okay, and then you press it thrice, and you get an option for a right one and a right two with the bass. Oh, that's new. That's very cool. Don't think they've put strings there. I don't think that's particularly common. I think you're more likely to have... How do we do this? We just press here, maybe? I think you're more likely to have a vibraphone. Yeah. Okay, cool. So there doesn't seem a quick way to turn off the right or the left sounds as you're going, which would be nice. You could quickly change from one to another. So I think they've missed quite a few tricks on this for the money, because I paid 1,700, but I think most people will be paying between 1,700 to 2,000, and that's just for the actual piano. That's an awful lot of money, kind of for what you get, really. The speaker system on it is good, it's decent, and the piano is nice and easy to pick up. They've rounded the edges so you can pick it up, as I've talked about in some other videos. And the finish of it's quite nice, and now it's got Bluetooth and stuff like that, which is cool. But my feeling is that if you're going to pay that much money, you might as well just grab a Kawaii S920. They're about £1,000 now, £1,000, 1,100, and it's got almost as good action. You can play almost the same stuff. It's got phenomenal sounds in it across the board, and does a little bit more. With relation to the FP-90, the FP-90 also actually does more than this. The sounds are better in most areas, but not as good in the piano. The piano sounds are better in this, definitely. The action on the FP-90 for me so far, I actually like better than this. This is a wonderful action, but I'm getting a bit frustrated with the plastic bits and the wood bits, and I wish they'd just make up their mind and pick what they're doing, and the light and heavy stuff. So the Roland is potentially more realistic to a grand piano, where everything feels like it's one. This feels like I've got white keys and I've got black keys. They don't feel like they marry up at all, which isn't typical of their grand pianos, not typical of anyone's acoustic pianos. And the dual stuff is much easier on the Rolands, and also actually the Roland FP-90, you can use an additional pedal, a normal Roland pedal, and it will flip the pages for you on an iPad even. This doesn't even have the option for that feature, which is very cool. That just comes with the piano. because they've got Bluetooth 5 in that. So yes, my initial thoughts are, if you love the Yamaha brand, and if you're like me, where didn't matter how much money I spent on it, because I worked full time using it, that I wanted a piano which will have a really good speaker system, will be able to project to lots of people, so I don't need additional monitors and that, and then has fantastic piano sounds. I'm about the quality of the sound more than the action. The action I will practice and I'll get around it. It's fine. I could definitely play really hard stuff on this eventually, but I need to get used to this key bed. However, out the box, I think the competitors, the Kawai and the Roland, would potentially be better for just off you go. But if I had to pick any piano for any of those three for like the best sound, I would probably go for this one. Just for interest, as a final thought, I think probably the best sound you can get from any piano that's on the market would be from the Kawai S8, which is cheaper than all of the ones that I mentioned. And that, when you go for its EX piano on loudness setting, lid open, it's the only piano ever where I've had people coming into rooms and come over and say, I just have to come and speak to you because I thought you were playing a real piano here. Oh, you know, it is so good. It is that phenomenal. I was hoping this would be better than it. This isn't better than it, but it's got a much better action. So I would go for this one. So my overall thoughts is, for me, I am pleased with my purchase. It's just a bit of a shame we had to spend so much money to get something which maybe doesn't have as many features as should be worth it. Well, thank you very much for listening to that. I just wanted to give an honest review, not really a biased one. So thank you very much for joining me with comparing the pianos and doing this one. If you'd like to like and subscribe, more than welcome to. I'll definitely do a lot more on this, and I'm also going to compare it to the Yamaha DGX 670, which at the moment is £1,000 cheaper and potentially could actually sound better in some regions. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.